What's up, everybody? Welcome to Wits In Podcast. I am your host, Devin Witt, alongside my co-host, Joe the Show. And, look, man, it's been a wild 2 weeks. Not much has been going on, I feel like, news-wise, though. I mean, we saw the Kamala Harris interview. Phenomenal. Can't wait for her to be our next president.
You did. We didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
I ain't watching that trash.
Well, today it's, I don't know, I was scrolling the web and I came across this tweet about the most common scams that are so common that we forget that they're scams. And so that's kind of what I wanted to make this episode about. So I've got a list of 10 different things that I think are the biggest scams to ever find their way into America.
Okay, we'll get to number 11 because I've got one too. Go ahead. What's number one?
Fair enough. Okay, so number one on the list for me that always comes first to my mind is college. Dude, it really is. It's got to be the biggest scam, I think, in the last 20 years. And, I wouldn't even call college a scam if I felt like you were actually getting your $250,000 worth of education. But that's not even the case.
I'll give you an assist here, buddy. Drop that up there
there. Thank you.
Yeah.
No. It just bothers me a lot that a bank is willing to give you $250,000 to go and educate yourself, but they won't even give you $10,000 to go and start your own business as an 18-year-old.
Because you're white.
And no, it's not even that. It just has to do with
No,
money.
it's not.
Yeah,
It is, because if you're about any other race that immigrates here, they'll give you money to start your business. But that's not the point. I understand what you're talking about. It's college. I get it. I can't understand why, if you haven't figured out your history classes in elementary school, middle school, high school, why you would need a refresher in college. And on top of that, unless you're probably some major specific to that, it's irrelevant. I can't imagine a scenario where a doctor, a lawyer, needs history. I just don't see it. I mean, I could understand maybe some background of. No, I don't even see where I could say some background of where, like, maybe a doctor where it doesn't matter. It's like it's irrelevant. What I'm saying by that is, why are you spending, $300, $400, $500, $1,000 for that class when you're never going to use it? And the thing of it is, that's one class among many, you're not going to need.
Well, and I do see your point on that. The only pushback I would give is that I think history is actually an extremely important lesson that everyone should be taught. And now the question becomes, is what history are you being taught? Now you step outside of that and you get into gender studies, then at that point I can maybe say, dude, I'm trying to be an attorney. What do I need to know about sexes?
Well, you better figure it out. Well, that's in today's society. You better figure it out, because people are going to get sued left and right for that. So yeah, you probably need to know that. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff like that in college. I don't, like, I would definitely say, like, a engineer, a accountant, you need math. You need but really, does somebody in some I say lesser degree, it's not a lesser degree, but other degree options, do they need all this stuff? I don't think so. I don't think doctors need that stuff. Like, I'm not a doctor, so I can't fathom why a doctor would need trigonometry. I don't see it.
Yeah, no, and I can agree with you on that, and that there's a lot of what about, you remember whenever I was in college and there was like a rumor going around that our college campus was paying for squirrels to be imported onto our campus?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, that school is very agricultural, even though it's not really, they're agriculturally a nuisance. But I would be surprised. I mean, you look at the stuff that they're putting money into, and I'm not knocking the people that's playing sports and stuff like that, but that's their income revenue. And I just don't see it, man. I can go a million different directions with this. I look at a lot of that stuff as from high school to preparation for college. But to me, I don't even know that high school should be a preparation for college. High school, in my opinion, should be a preparation for the real world.
Yeah.
Because college degrees anymore are, to me, they're a waste of time in most circumstances. I'm not knocking that because I think there's a place for it. I wouldn't take somebody, oh, you graduated high school? Okay, great. Then I expect you to be able to build this bridge that crosses, two waterway. No, I don't. There's some stuff behind that. There's some experience behind it too.
Yeah.
Same thing with the doctor. I'm not dare going to sit here and say that I want a high school graduate doing brain surgery on me. I'm just not.
Yeah.
And there's a time and place for it. And now, on the other hand, I can't really say. Well, I could say doctors. There's high school graduates that are better than some of the doctors that's out there, and I would put money on that. And I can guarantee you this too, because I've been in the legal system long enough, because that's kind of what my realm is. There's people out of high school could do much better than some of these attorneys we have around here. Now, I can't speak for everybody. I'm speaking to people I know where I live.
And that's kind of the thing, is that's what bothers me so much about college, is that you go and look at some of these job applications online, and they're requiring a college education, but you look at the job requirements, and it's like, anyone with a high school degree could do this job. Yeah. So it's like, what are we doing here?
Exactly. Well, the thing of it is, you're going to put yourself, $100,000, $200,000 in debt to work a job that is practically minimum wage. I mean, $10, $12 an hour, $13 an hour, whatever. Yeah, you're right. That's a high school. I just got a high school degree job. My thing with college too is you look at trades, you look at HVAC, you look at welding, plumbing, stuff like that. They're good paying jobs.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get into your own business doing that too. You got some apprenticeships and stuff. But anyway, whenever you go to those type of schools, you ain't dealing with all this other nonsense. You ain't dealing with all the, you need more history classes to become a plumber. You need more to be an electrician. You need more, this, you don't deal with that. That's why and that's why I'm saying, I guess what I would be getting at in saying college is a scam is get to the nut cutting of what their degree is and get do their major classes, and that's it. Why do they need all this intro stuff? And that's where you go. It's a scam. They don't need this stuff. It's never going to be applicable to their job if they stick in that bubble. And I would say very rarely, but even in most cases, if they say, they don't stick with that degree plan, it's not going to be needed anyway. And I think this stuff should be learned in high school. If they can't get a basis, and I know I've said history, but if you can't get a basis of an understanding of what you think, whatever, because it's not school dictated, it's government dictated, of whatever history you think needs to be taught, by high school years, come on, like, why do they need more of this crap in college? I just don't see it, man. I just don't see a reason why. You've got kids with college degrees that couldn't cook more than a package of ramen. When are we teaching? That's what I'm saying. What are you actually teaching life skills, to succeed?
And I do totally agree with you. The biggest issue with high school is that it doesn't prepare you for anything, whether it's college or the real world. And whenever you start getting into college, the only thing I would say is, like, I did benefit from taking classes outside of my major, in the sense of I was trying to be an accountant, and then I take a intro to marketing class, and it changed my life because, like, I realized, like, this is something that speaks to me on a whole different level, that I really want to be good at, and so from that angle, I can see, like, exposing kids to different things that they had no idea about previously.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden they catch a very strong interest in it. So, like, I'm not entirely opposed to exposing people to different environments, stuff like that. But on the other hand, I did come to college for an accounting degree. And so, whenever you're adding basically an extra 2 years of college courses to my list because it's going to make you more money in the end, that's when the scam thing starts to come back. And I just, like I said originally, my original point of the fact that as a 18-year-old, I can go and get a $250,000 loan to go to school, but I can't even get $10,000 to start up my own business is extremely bothersome.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that I'm any more likely to pay back that loan with the college degree than I am with starting my own business.
I agree. You can't do it.
And we're dealing way less money.
How many classes in your 10 years to get your 40-year degree? No, not really. But how many classes was just a complete, like, that is not relevant to?
I was taking basically 5 classes a semester, 4 years, so we're talking about 20 courses total.
Yeah, how many? But how many of those
Out
that you're
of-
just like that was just a complete like this does not
Out
fit
of
nowhere at
those,
all.
we're talking about 8 classes.
Okay, so 8 classes, so that's a semester. That's
a year.
8,
It's a
16,
full
24. It's a full year, so you're looking at $50,000
Yeah,
where you went to school.
yeah.
It's roughly 25 a semester, give or take. So $50,000 just down the drain, you know.
For classes
And
that I don't remember.
and you know that's a nice brand new vehicle, you know, that somebody could buy. But I guarantee you, $50,000 worth of classes, and you're right, and that's what I'm going at with it too. You can go out and get a $50,000 loan like that for school. I bet you couldn't do that trying to buy a car.
No, or
You know?
like I said, a business. Because, like, look, at the end of the day, I'm not just saying that we should let 18-year-olds entrap themselves in $250,000 worth of debt as soon as they
We do it
graduate
every
high school.
day.
But on the other hand, it's like, okay, if we're going to open up the door for colleges to be able to scam you and take that money, then why aren't we also opening the door for real go-getters who maybe they come from nothing, maybe they have a family and business background, but the point of it is like you have someone who's saying, hey, I want to take a risk in life to try and make something great.
Yeah.
I want to do that instead of going to a 4-year
Yeah,
education.
and about the only common sense thing that come into play if I was an investor saying, you know, yeah, and you know, more than likely you're going to fail, and so why would we give you money? Same argument, and that's about the only legitimate argument. You know, the chances are they're going to fail, but same thing. Those statistics are backed up, proven with college kids too. You know, you go through, oh, this ain't for me. You still have the debt; it doesn't go away because you decide you don't want to go to college unless you vote Biden, and then it might, but.
Or you graduate from college, but your degree is useless and it's no longer effective, and now here you are working the same job that you would have if you had never went to school, but now you have $250,000 worth of debt. Now the difference though is I feel like the guy who went and took out the $10,000 business loan and falls flat on his face and the business fails and it goes belly up, is that he learned several life lessons throughout the course of that business. Whereas in college, it's free money. You know, like, oh,
there's no
you don't think
life
about
lessons.
it.
I mean, like you drink, you party, you fail. You know, past that, what is it? You know, and the only other argument, well, you know, go to college for discipline. Your parents lied to you. If that's what you think you're going to college for, you're not going to get it there.
That's where you lose your discipline.
That's where you go to military if that's the case, you
Yeah.
know, and that's a whole other thing too. So yeah, college, that's my opinion on it. So,
all right, how about this? Scam number 2, toll roads. This is like maybe just a personal pet peeve of mine, but it bothers me so much that it's like we already pay out the wazoo in taxes on a yearly basis.
let me break this down for all you idiots in Oklahoma on Native American land. It's you got to look at this for what it is. Toll roads are primarily on Indian land. When they're making the white guy pay to cross it.
What do you mean? What do
you mean?
I'm
What do you
not-
mean?
I'm not entirely
Look at the
familiar here.
I can't speak for all the other turnpikes, but look at the turnpikes in Oklahoma. What is they're always
Yeah, Cimarron
exactly,
Creek.
and they're like Indian turnpikes.
Yeah,
The Indian are
They're
making you pay to cross their land.
really? Okay. See, I haven't honestly fully considered that perspective or an angle of like, this is their
It's
land.
like, payback, suckers. Look what you
Yeah.
came across.
Oh,
you-
dude, they've raped me. Well, here's what really bothers me with the toll roads: the fact that like I can not stiff you on that toll pass bothers me a lot. Like, what do you mean you get to put a flag on my tag that I now have to pay the toll before I can even get my car retagged?
Yeah. That sounds like personal experience.
Well, you know, we've had a lot of people write in here recently for on the toll road
I
issue.
agree. I mean, the thing of it is, and I'm not going to say or not, because not all these, they're not like ran by Indians. It's a very ironic situation. But, you know, I think of it as too, is you pay a certain amount, and really the toll roads aren't really better than any city or street highway. So, like, what is the money going to, would be my question. You know, I do like the speed limits. I mean, they finally did something with that. I mean, they're posted like 85 now, so I mean, you can get somewhere pretty quick. I do like that aspect of it, but to me, it's not worth the $3 or $4 you got to pay to go. Whatever
On your way there,
miles. Yeah.
on your way back. I mean,
To me, I understand it's kind of a play per se on your constitutional rights. about being able, travel and
Freedom
stuff
of
like
movement.
that. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a stretch into that. Believe that. I mean, it would be, but like, well, I have to pay you, but still, it's just screwed up. You got to pay to drive in America.
Yeah.
But next to that, what tolls are known for is convenience, and that's I think where the biggest play comes in. It's like everything, you got to pay for convenience now. And that's where that comes in. You want to get there, shave a minute or two off, or whatever. You're going to pay the extra $4 or $5, and that's where I think it's a scam. People, that's what blows my mind, is people will get madder than a hornet, man, paying like 5 cents a gallon, but you're paying $5
to drive on this road
to save 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
sometimes it is
you're
20
really not
minutes
coming
or,
out
or half an hour ahead. Like sometimes there is a certain point where if you were to really break it down calculation wise, hey, I'm going to save myself $6 in fuel by traveling on the toll road than I would traveling the back roads. But the point of it is like the way I've always understood Oklahoma toll roads is that it was basically, hey, we need to pay for this road that we just built, so we're going to charge you for it. Okay, that makes sense. But then it just never stopped.
No,
they just kept collecting the money.
I don't know the background of it, and maybe that's why maybe I'm not good at the number one topic, which was college, because maybe I missed that part of the history of how toll roads came about to screw people in the state. But I apparently missed that part, so I couldn't testify. All I know is that these toll roads go to that, and they're supposed to to maintain, pay people. I guess what it is, I don't know.
They don't even have people
scam,
there. Like, and what bothers me, I guess, more than anything about it is like they're at a point now where some of them have the prices of like, hey, here's how much we're going to charge you for driving through this road, and some of them don't. Like, one of them I saw was something like it was like $7.80.
For my part, like it's not. I mean, if driving on the road's fine. If they're going to charge people, I mean, I don't like it. I think it's stupid. But the part that I get that's a freaking scam is the ones you're cruising along and there ain't no way to get off and you're going to have to pay. That's where it's a scam. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, you can run it and you're going to get ticketed.
You're going to get billed.
And here's the thing. You just expect me to be cruising down places I've never been, because this is a real scenario that's happened to me. I'm cruising down on a part of Oklahoma I've never been before. Didn't realize they're toll roads. I get there. You have to pay. But guess what? It's unattended. You can't just freaking swipe your credit card.
Yeah.
It's cash only. Yeah. And so you get to this point, and it's like, I don't have the change. I don't have the cash on me to pay this thing, because they only take, and that's the thing, they don't take cash. It's coins only. I don't have freaking $5 worth of freaking change in my truck. So I just blow through the thing. $90 ticket.
That's insane.
It's stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's where it's a scam, because it's like you get in these situations like, yeah, well, you don't have $5 change? No, I don't keep that crap in my truck. Keep my truck relatively clean. I don't like all that junk. And I wasn't expecting a toll road traveling an hour from my house. Just things like that.
Yeah.
It's if I was going across the state, or if I was going across the United States, I'd have freaking money, obviously, but not to go shopping with my kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, really, come on.
You.
So that's where it's a scam. They get you and they're unattended, which goes back into this. So what are we paying for? If there's nobody manning this toll, you really have no overhead. You have a machine, just like everything else. And so here you are. That's where it's a scam for me.
Now, all right, let's get into it. How about scam number 3, Social Security?
Well, there ain't no security in it.
Yeah, because that's going to be non-existent.
Yeah. Social Security, I think, is a good thing. I think it's, and I don't know that I wouldn't look at it as a scam. I would look at it as very, very mismanaged. That's where
I call it a scam because here's why. You're forced to pay into this Social Security system.
Used to not have to.
Well, you're forced to today.
Yeah.
So here I am being forced to pay into this, the system of a set amount of money that I'm going to receive whenever I hit retirement age.
If you make it that long.
Number one, right there, that's a good point. But number two, the fact that the federal government doesn't want to ask the question of like, well, what would happen if instead of taking this money from people and forcing them to put it back for Social Security, we force them to invest that money into the stock market, etc. And that's where we start to get into how your money's being spent by the government, because the reality of it is, if you're a person that's living on Social Security today, you are not making it. And it's
No,
not has
no, no.
nothing to do with you didn't pay enough in taxes and everything to do with inflation. And that's kind of where stuff like this really starts to become a battle, because you're talking about people who typically cannot work, or they
Right.
should not be working the way that they have been for the last 50 years of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get into now it's time to retire, and inflation continues to go through the roof, but I'm at this fixed income level.
Well, it is, and it's fixed at such a low. You know, you can make $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and that's really not a lot of money. I mean, that's you can get by.
Yeah.
And then we'll say your usual income, and you've worked for retirement age, you're making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. Best case scenario, I think your Social Security would probably flirt with somewhere around $1,200-1,300 a month.
Yeah,
if that.
I would say I worked at a bank, and the most common amount that you would see is roughly $900 and some change.
Yeah.
For the entire month
Yeah.
for them to live on. $900.
Yeah, you would have to have. The only way I could possibly even see somebody doing that is you would have to have zero. I mean, absolutely zero debt.
Your car's paid for. Your house is paid for.
Yeah.
You don't have credit cards. You don't eat out anywhere. You
No,
don't go and see
would
family
be-
at all.
Yeah, it'd be
Like,
you'd have to, because you're still going to have home insurance,
mm-hmm.
vehicle insurance. Those are a must, and food. Food. I don't know, for one person, it'd still be a couple $100.
Yeah,
Insurance
yep,
drop
easily.
another $100. House, maybe half that. So you're still even $400 or $500. In just those three things. Yeah, you put gas. I say necessities. Doing that, and then you put the doctor bill, because they don't have the good insurance. Best case Medicare, where you're gonna have to find a supplemental, to that. And so yeah, you can't make it, and then you wonder why and it goes into trickle effect. That's why I believe nursing homes are as crappy as they are too. Most of them are just crap. They just are. They smell like freaking piss and death. I mean, it just is what it is. And the reason being is because how they're usually funded for is they take basically your Social Security check. So basically that person is living, and I understand the conditions, so you just got to bear with me here. They're getting, food, water, place to stay for $900 a month.
And
Where else are you going to find that?
and at home care.
Yeah, I mean, where else are you going to find that? And
You won't.
and so what I'm getting at, you get what you pay for.
And that's kind of the key here is like, so are you getting what you've paid for, though? Because how I view it is like, if I've been having to pay this tax for the last 40 years of my life, the stock market has done tremendously well. And then you look at the money that I'm going to be getting from Social Security versus if I had invested that money
Yeah.
in other places, your standard of living is in two completely different playing fields. And that's where I start to say
The best
this
thing
is a scam.
I think if they did away with Social Security, it'd really hurt a lot of people. But the only way you can really do it is say, okay, I think the only way you can effectively do it is you're going to have a cutoff day and say, okay, after you're born in 2025, that's a cut. No more Social Security after that, and people's going to have to pay into it until you start phasing. People are dying out. And you just have to eliminate it. And then you're somewhere in the midst of that, you're going to have to come up with this thing, because investments, as much as I could see that's actually not as good as a move as what I think you'd make it sound, because now you're going to take millions of people that's not investing and start investing. It drives prices freaking down. And so it affects that market in a bad way. Now, obviously, I think those things can recover. The other side of it is you're leaving that chance of fate and hoping that you're a good investor and you make good financial decisions with your money. The government's saying, okay, you made $20 and you're going to have to pay in $20. You better invest it good. Well, what's the backup whenever you invest? And you did everything right. You invested your money, but you just invested in the wrong crap and it falls apart. Now we're dealing with you again on the back end of this, because now you're going to be homeless. You can't pay your bills. You're going to have to be on food stamps, whatever. So some way it's still going to come back.
Well, I mean, a few things. Number one, historically, the stock market doesn't do bad. It grows year over year, time after time. So the chances of that happening, especially on a nationwide scale, are very slim, unless we're going through a financial crisis. And then next to that, I would say it's actually the opposite of what you're saying. I think if you were to remove Social Security and everyone now had to invest, it inflates the price of every asset or thing that you go to purchase in the stock market, because now everyone's playing the game.
Right.
And so all these companies are now more of their stocks being bought up. So
Well,
the price is being raised.
There's truth, but that goes back into the first thing is college. And I think that's where college could be beneficial, or classes. Because, man, when you start playing stock markets, you better freaking know what you're doing. And just the average person can't do it.
Well, I would just say know a guy, know a good guy. And that's kind of the point, is like I would rather trust the investor who I've never met in my entire life over the federal government to handle my money. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, is like, what do we trust that the federal government's going to spend it appropriately
the money
and
you're going to
save
get,
it?
the money you're going to get back from Social Security, if you make it that, depending on how long you stay alive, you're probably going to get more back than what you put in. I mean, it's a relatively low amount that you're paying in. Now, I understand that does depend on the job and your income. You know, you're making millions a year. You're never going to see that from the government. That's not happening. And the thing of it is, even though the issue is this is going to fall apart. And the thing of it is, there's fixes to that. Take all the freaking immigrants off the crap that they shouldn't be having, put it on Social Security. Take a portion, or all the money that you're fighting wars we shouldn't be fighting, put it to Social Security. Your problem's fixed. It's literally fixed.
And I agree with that in a lot of ways. Because that's kind of part of the problem that I have with Social Security, is that everything I'm seeing within the next decade, it's going to be wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be any more. And so, like, number one, that's extremely concerning if I'm over the age of 50, because it's like...
It depends if you're
that's
Republican
me,
or
dude.
Democrat. Republican, yeah. If you're a Democrat, it's not. We'll just raise the debt ceiling some more.
Yeah.
We'll put more money into it. You know, so I mean, that's the problems with it. There's fixes.
But
And
let's get into that, though, because to me, that has to be the fourth scam on my list, which is two-party political system in America.
mm-hmm.
Nothing bothers me more than having a binary option whenever it comes to the best way to handle our country, the best leaders that we can get to help us prosper. The fact that we only have two options every year,
Yeah.
it's extremely concerning.
I think there's ways that
It's
as far
a
as
scam.
me, is they should do away with the Democrat Republican Party, in my opinion. And what they do is you still kind of keep some of the stuff the same. And what I mean by that is you're doing away with parties, period. You're basing your votes, you're basing your things off what you believe in and what you think is right and what you want. So what you do is you do away with the Democrat Republican Party. So your candidates are no longer affiliated with any, they're just
They're
the person running.
candidates. Yeah.
And, you know, when that comes around, there's 10, 20, 30 people put their name in the sack to get to be the president, per se. And out of those, they're whittled out by the people's votes. And it's going to be a ballot that doesn't say Democrat, Republican. It's going to actually have questions that you have to answer. And you're going to have to know that specific person, not, oh, it's Republican, straight line fill that sucker. No, you're going to have to go through and say, oh, Joe, yep, I like him. Devin, yep, he's a good guy. You know, that girl, whatever. No. And you see, you're forced to actually know and make educated decisions.
Who your candidates are.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what they're actually going to do.
And how you break that down, because it's going to be electoral with the current process. I'm 50-50 with electoral, but electoral is the same thing. They're voting. The electoral vote should go with the vote of the state.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
will
the
of
same
people.
thing. It's not Republicans, not Democrats. It's like, okay, here's your 2 or 3 candidates that was, you know, voted upon in the primaries and runoffs and blah, blah, whatever. So these are the two you got left to pick from. Who do you pick? Is it going to be Trump? Is it going to be, you know, Harris? And you vote, and not about a party. However, I think that's a great way to do it. Would it ever come to that? No, because they like to draw lines. I think that there's Republicans that are crapped on just for the sheer fact they're Republicans. The same thing with Democrats. So I would like to see it done away with.
So, number one, I really like what you're saying about forcing people to be involved in politics. For far too long in America, it's been, I'm just not going to vote. I don't like our options, so I'm not going to vote this time.
Yeah.
You know, or even worse, it's, I'm voting for them because they're better than the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start to eliminate that as an option for people to not think critically about who they're electing to be the leaders of the free world. And I think it puts more responsibility into the voters' hands, which is the right thing to do. But now we get into like kind of like what you were saying about both sides of the aisle here want to draw as many lines as possible to keep that from happening because they're the ones that directly benefit from this power. You have to come through us in order to run for office, because if not, we're going to trounce you. That's really the biggest, and why I call it a scam is because we're talking about, if I remember right, I don't think George Washington wanted us to only have two political parties in the United States. And if you just go back and look at history, it typically doesn't end well whenever power is consolidated in such a way. And I personally feel like it's corrupted Americans' minds to the point of you're either friends or enemies based on political affiliation. And that's just, that's sickening, and that's wrong.
Well, it's two parties. No matter what you do, it's like everything else they want in the United States, they want division.
Yeah, it's binary. It's a very binary thing, and so all we have to do, instead of getting you to talk about this, let's just turn up race relations a little bit. Let's have another drag queen storybook hour at the school.
Right.
Let's release some information about this latest scandal with one of our Congress people, and we'll just let them chew on that rather than think about revolutionizing the country and changing it. So that which kind of leads me into scam number 5, which is fractional reserve banking.
Meaning what?
So me as an individual, if I walk into a bank and I give them $10,000, I say, hey, I want to deposit this because I don't like having cash on me. So I give the bank $10,000. The bank is now allowed to spend $9,000 of those dollars on investments, other loans, etc., to try and grow that money, and they only have to have $1,000 of my dollars in the bank. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, that doesn't sound too bad. Like, yeah, it makes sense. They don't want money just sitting there. They want to invest it, etc., so it can continue to grow. The problem that I have with it is what happens whenever everyone at the bank says, you know what, today's a good day to take out this money. Well, guess what? It's not there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, it's not.
So
it's not there to be. Would you quit shaking your damn leg? My legs, I'm sitting there like, I think I'm having a freaking earthquake here. The money's not there to begin with, because if you went down there and you had $4 or $5 million, there's people that have that in their accounts. Say, I want to withdraw that right now, you ain't getting it.
Yeah.
You're not getting it.
Which is insane. That's your
They have to order money. Yeah. I mean, they really do.
Because of the fractional reserve banking.
And, whenever you put money in, even though from our side, you'll never see it, the bank has, they need that money to operate, to put loans out. Because that's how they pay their bills. And, and people don't realize this. How the bank stays alive and how they pay their employees is off your money. Mm-hmm. Whenever the average person only put $1,000 in there and $4,000 or $5,000, yeah, that doesn't mean crap. When they've got those millions and billions sitting in a bank, that's lending power, and stuff like that. And then they're pulling the interest off these loans, stuff like that. That's how they keep the doors open. So your money is getting used regardless.
But is it not kind of sick to think that this institution that's charging me interest for my money is now going out and making 10 times the return on my money?
You can break it down as scary as you want, because I would say this, and I firmly believe this, and I know that they would say, otherwise, but if everybody went down to the certain whatever bank, local bank, and everybody said, I'm done with you, I want my money now, they couldn't do it.
They couldn't.
And I'm not about, okay, hold on, it's going to be a day or two. I don't physically think they could write that check.
No, they can't. And that's what I'm saying is like, so here we are living in a system where we're told, like, yeah, hey, backed up to $250,000 FDIC. But the problem of it is like you actually go to these banks and you ask them for how much money they have on hand. Number one, they aren't going to tell you. But if they did, it is less than 10% of the total number of assets that they have on paper. And so what bothers me with it is like, why are we allowing these institutions that rape you as much as humanly possible? They show no mercy whenever it comes to those loans, etc., and how they're enacted. but yet we just continue to feed the beast and let them make profits off of our money.
Been doing it for a long time. That's what they do, man.
That's what's concerning to me. It's like, why is it that we decided to go away from the gold standard? That bothers me a lot, because I think if you were to ask a vote of the American people, like, hey, would you rather devalue your currency so we can have more of it out there in the world? Or would you rather it be all backed up by gold bars held up somewhere in a fort somewhere here in America?
By our government.
I would say most people would say, yeah, I want it to be backed by another form of currency, because it just creates a stronger dollar. It's not just paper coming out of thin air. Hey, I know if we had to come and collect all this money today, it's at Fort Bragg and wherever. That's just kind of what I'm getting at. So to me, the fact that we did come up with a central banking system and the Federal Reserve, it indicates some type of scam is being taking place here. And I feel like you have to look no further than COVID 2020, whenever you saw the largest wealth transfer in human history take place from the have-nots to the have-tos. And it's a big part of that had to do with our banking system and how we're able to monopolize money and keep people subjected to BS.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't even have the time to get into all the crap with COVID and not COVID. That's a whole thing of itself, but all the financial strains and all the stuff.
The PPP
you look
loans.
at the inflation on vehicles, and they're still doing it today.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't cost any more to do it. It's like GM, you run a crappy company, Ford, Dodge, whatever, and you go bankrupt, so we have to pay more. And the chips, that's what happens whenever you freaking have all your freaking power to the freaking Chinese and whatever. It's like, oh, you don't want, China, let's piss them off. Oh, no chips. Guess what? America ain't got no more vehicles.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
No, and I totally agree. Which, what was another big aspect that took place during COVID? Whenever you lock everyone up in a house for months on end and tell them no human contact.
Yeah, babies. A lot of babies.
That somewhat. That definitely took place. But I'm also talking about the rise in depression and anxiety. And so, for me, scam number 6 would have to be antidepressants / SSRIs / Adderall, Ritalin.
Well,
that whole gambit.
Depression is a fine, and people will get pissed off what I say, and there's people going to agree. More people. I think depression, for the most part, your keyword, most part, is fake.
Yeah,
it's a state of mind. I get that, and where I think let me put it like PTSD. Okay, kind of leads into these things is because it's not so much that they're depressed. It's like, okay, you take another person's life, it's something traumatic, and you don't know how to really deal with it. And so what you do is you turn alcohol to drugs, you just shut down, you have to mentally work through these things. And so what happens is it's not really depression. And I don't think it's like people say it's a chemical imbalance, call it what you want. I'm not a doctor, but I've dealt with aspects of it myself. It's just the state of mind you keep yourself in. And you wake up and you want to say, "Oh, I'm just going to be lazy and stay in bed." I don't care if you're the least depressed person in the world. If you just become a freaking lazy freaking slug, it comes with it. It's because of your state of mind. I don't know. Well, that's what we're talking about, depression. No, idiots. Trying to see what I'm saying between the two. You got to put some motivation. See, that's the other word. It's not depression. It's called motivation. Get off your butt and do something with yourself. And I'm not talking about, go get a job, you lazy bum. No, get up. Go hunting. Go fishing. Go shopping. Go do something you enjoy. And what you do is you make yourself do it. And what people will find out is that when you start making yourself do it, you will rewire your brain.
Yeah, go to the gym.
See
what happens.
Your brain will rewire itself just to not be that way, because you're not being lazy, you're not being depressed. There's a level of sidetracking yourself to put your mind on other things. But I firmly believe, and this is proven too, is people that suit and tie, a nice dress, and maybe it's wearing drag, maybe it's wearing goth clothes, whatever your thing is. But what your thing is, I say suit and tie because that's kind of mine. When you dress yourself up and you look nice, you hold yourself differently. You feel better about yourself, and it's nothing to do with just your clothes. You know, like I don't get depressed about it. You'll laugh at me when I say this, but like I would be better self-consciously for me if I had hair. You know, I don't lose sleep over it, but I would be like, man, it'd be nice if I could actually comb my hair. You know, so those things play a factor. Women, why do you do breast implants? There's a reason for it. I don't have a problem with that. You know, I would have argued that several years ago, but I have seen people that legitimately there's like, you know, and it built their self-esteem up.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I don't know that it's depression. It's how you hold yourself. What you let your mindset be. You dictate that. The thing that I hate with SSRIs, depression medication, and this, if you go out and take somebody's life and you're struggling with depression, okay, great. That pill will not fix that. That pill might, here's the key word, mask. It might do what it says. It might change your chemicals in your brain. But what it does, it doesn't erase bad memories.
Right.
It doesn't erase the fact that you're lazy and you sit and do nothing with yourself all freaking day and waller in your pity. It doesn't fix that. That problem is still there, which is the whole thing of what I've just said. You have to face it. So get off the freaking medication. Just try to make yourself a better person. Feel better about yourself mentally. Make yourself do it. And that crap with medication be gone, because bottom line, medication does not make it go away.
Well, but that's kind of like where I was going with it. In America, and the reason why I call this a scam is because what we're doing is taking shortcuts. So you come in saying, you know, I'm depressed, I don't have the hair that I used to, I'm overweight, I
didn't say overweight.
Well, I'm just
now
saying.
You're sticking words in my mouth.
I'm just saying.
Interjecting.
I'm just trying to think of a regular scenario here. You know, I'm overweight, I have no motivation to get out and go meet new people, whatever. And then that doctor just writes you the script and says, well, here you go. This is going to change your life. Yeah, this is going to make you feel better.
Yeah, because you check 9 of the 10 boxes on the sheet.
And so the problem becomes is like, well, you know, what about the issue of diet and exercise? Like, are you taking care of your body in a meaningful, because like at the end of the day, what people try to do is compartmentalize everything. So they try to compartmentalize and say that, oh, your mental health is your mental health and your physical health is your physical health, as if they don't directly correlate with one another and have influences across the spectrum. But yet we're only going to treat this aspect, your mental diagnosis, while also leaving you obese and, you know, without recourse.
It's proven. Just diet alone will do that. Go eat a bunch of sugar and see what's going to happen. You're going to crash. Yeah. Yep. It affects the way your stomach, yes, obviously, but it affects the same thing with caffeine. I say coffee, go have a bunch of it. You're going to be, you know, jittery on the, you know, and then you're going to have a crash. And I like both of those things. But there's balance. Yeah. You know, and I think that the depression medication, I don't know if that's on your list somewhere, but that falls very, 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 very close with ADHD.
Well, and that was the other one I was going to get into.
And I've seen too many, more so with children. And believe me, I've had kids that I believe were legitimately ADHD, and the medication did help them. Like, did they have to have it to survive? No, I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that the kid even needed it in general. However, I think that there's a level that it does bring them down to a little bit of place for themselves. And I'm not talking for school. I'm not talking for college, because that's a whole different thing for ADHD medication there too. I'm saying it brought them down so they could focus enough to quit chasing freaking little squirrels everywhere to actually do a job. You know, yes, some of that was school, but I've seen it in the real world too, were applicable to work. However, out of probably 10 to 12 foster kids that I had, and two of my kids, or one of my kids, really, the other one's kind of, he didn't need it. That I've seen 2 that I can think of that I was like, yeah, I can see where this plays in. So I'm saying that is, yeah, and so the other ones is misdiagnosed. Yeah. And what I found out that misdiagnosis was, what they really needed was somebody just put their thumb on them, put their foot down. This is how it's going to be.
Yeah, discipline. And
quit acting like an idiot.
Yep.
You know, because if you go in there and say, there's all these little kids running around with no rules, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to just make up their own rules and follow them? Well, they will make up their own rules. They're not going to listen to you, and and two, there's your level of pushover. I'm not that guy. So there's that aspect of it. But there's what I'm getting at with all that is that's the problem with schools, elementary schools is what I'm saying here is your kid don't sit down, he listens, he's a little bit, he's probably ADHD, more so the HD part. They really need to look at medication. No, one, do your freaking job and learn how to freaking control your class. That's a good place to start. After you do that, and you can come to tell me that then we can have this discussion. Okay, that's a thing too, and why I'm talking about is jump back to the college. Did they teach you all that crap whenever you're getting your education degree, how to actually manage a classroom?
No.
Or they just expect you to? See, that's the thing. They just expect you to.
Yep.
So, so there's that aspect of what it is. It's where I'm going with this, as you probably knew, it's big pharma. It's pharmaceutical companies. They need this crap pushed. Kids, little boys, little girls are, and more so boys, are not designed. I mean, just think about this. These kids want to run, play. They're full of energy. They're like a little kid to me. The best way I can describe this so people can understand what my process is, you've got a boy that just hit puberty. He get on air. You know what he's thinking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the same thing with little boy. They're not thinking about the sexual aspect, but he's got all this energy and they just want to run and play.
Yeah.
They want to be the friend and do all that stuff. And so we designed a medication to say, hey, if we give them this, they'll sit down. What I'm saying, kids are not structured. They're not designed to be shoved in a freaking corner or in a classroom for 7-8 hours straight. We put more on our 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old little kids than we do on adults in a workplace. You think about this. You are not in any world, unless you're freaking in the slave trade somewhere, in any corporation going to be expected to sit down at a desk. You can go for an hour and you have a 5-minute break to go pee and poop and come back into class. And that's best case scenario in middle school and high school.
Right.
And then come back for another hour, sit for another work hour, and you got 5 more minutes. You can go pee and poop. Okay. Now, you get a 20-minute lunch break. We have federal laws. You're required to give your employees a 15-minute break every so often. And if you work more than, I think, 4 hours, you're required your 30-minute. We have more in federal laws is better for our adults in a working force than we have for our children.
But that's where we get back into perception, and that's like where I think Big Pharma's done a fantastic job of, number one, mass diagnosing every child who doesn't want to just sit down for 8 hours as ADHD or ADD, etc. Yeah. But the one curious thing that, I don't know if you had seen this or not, but they actually did a study for people who take Adderall, because I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the big reason why people enjoy taking Adderall is they feel like it improves their brain function, like they're able to focus better, etc. But a lot of studies have been done that have proven that there is no significant increase in performance between those who do not take Adderall and those who do on tests, etc. And so what that tells you is that it's 100% all in the mind. So the person who's taking the pill, it's almost like a placebo, but you think that it's the real thing. Like, this is actually enhancing my brain, my function, etc. So therefore you feel better, and so you want to keep taking the medication because you think that that's what's causing this. The reality of it is like, no, you just sat down for an hour and focused on your homework and did that, and that's how you were able to get the good grade on the test.
I think that's the majority, and I think that, I was telling you about the few kids that I've had that actually needed it. It's quite the opposite, because the parents like, okay, you got to take this. This is your chill pill. This will help you concentrate. My youngest son, I was like, they had allergy medicine. I told him it was allergy medicine. I was like, you take your allergy medicine before school. And I'm telling you, the first day he took the pill, all those problems that he was having stopped. Yeah. And it was like, what the heck? My kids didn't know it. My kid he took that medication for 3 years, about 2. He didn't know any different. He had no clue. He thought he was taking his allergy medicine every day. Because I didn't tell the teachers. I didn't tell the student. I didn't tell my kid, nobody. I told nobody about it because I wanted a good feedback.
Right.
But I mean, I was getting called every day for nonsense.
Yeah, I remember.
And so, once I started, a very low dose, and I told the doctor, I'm not having my kid freaking, on this crap, all the time and being zombie. Because like, I'm going to the lowest dose possible, you know, and I don't even care if I don't care if my kid's in a little bit of trouble. Being a boy,
Yeah,
you know, the difference being a boy than being, you know, hitting and see that's saying that's where the ADHD side, the doctors, they come in, the big pharmas, you know, there's kids are fighting all the time. It's, you know, probably ADHD. No, the kids are acting out.
Yeah, yeah.
They're beating the crap out of people because something they got taught.
Well, and that's
You
the
know.
other half to it too. Is like how many of these situations the kids are diagnosed with could be fixed with a better home life. That could be fixed with a little bit more intentionality behind what you're teaching that child. Like if I'm teaching you that you need to take this pill to act normal, you won't feel normal if you don't take the pill.
Right.
And that's kind of the point of what I was getting at overall of why I feel like this is a scam, is because we've tricked people into thinking that just take the pill and life's gonna work itself out. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
just
scam.
keep taking the pill.
Just like the COVID vaccine, ADHD medication, all this crap, all, you know, the stuff, antidepressants, just like the COVID vaccine. They make you try to feel better, and they hype all this crap up to take it and make their money. And the thing of it is, the number one reason why I don't buy this stuff, but past what I've just said, which is I think somewhat logical explanation, is the biggest contributor to big pharma companies is the federal government, and that's another reason I don't trust it.
Well, and that's where we kind of, I guess, get into my next one, which is I feel like scam number 7 has to be health insurance.
Yeah, it's a joke.
I've never seen a bigger scam in my entire life where you call your hospital or institution, whatever, maybe just had a surgery, and you're like, hey, I need this paperwork. And then they're like, all right, here's the paperwork. You give it to insurance. Insurance says, this isn't the right paperwork, so you need to go back and get this document. And it's like, okay, well, you go back and get that document. Oh, well, actually, that's not what we needed either. You need to go see a specialist, and you need to do. So it's like every step of the way, there's some type of runaround. There's always a new and like what bothers me is, why don't we have more family practitioners that are well-rounded in medicine, that aren't just there to treat one specific thing on your foot? Like, no, they understand how the human body works, and although they specialize in this area of the body, they also understand how every other aspect of the body works. Therefore, they can give you actual concrete resolution.
Yeah, health insurance is a freaking joke in so many aspects, from the cost to, you know, but that's also, to be fair to the insurance company, that's also dictated because of the scams in the pharmaceutical companies. That's also dictated by the scams in the hospitals, how much things cost. I mean, my wife is in a hospital, had a surgery and some treatments, $176,000 for one freaking day. There ain't no way there was $176,000 worth of stuff I don't care what you're using.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just not there. And so there's a lot can be said from that. That's how the rich survive. You know, it's survival of the fittest in its finest. But that's how your insurance, I mean, I get that aspect of why is your insurance so high? That's why. Because the insurance companies are essentially being scammed, you know, from hospitals. They have these sets amounts, and that's set and dictated by them. They're agreed upon amounts, and they paid, okay, we pay this much, and, you know, agreed upon amount. And so it's a scam upon a scam and a scam, and the people that end up paying for it is us, the consumers. You know, you have to have it, because if not, you would just be, I guess if you don't care about your credit and seeing a doctor, you'd be okay, because I'm not paying it.
Number one, they're actually coming out with a new law to remove medical bills as part of your credit report, which I think is very interesting, because it's like people don't already pay their medical bills, and now you're going to remove it from the credit report entirely.
I'm for that.
Me too.
Because it's a joke. I mean, like, they did. When I got that bill, yeah, it's simple. I'm going to give you a phone call, and I didn't lose my temper, but I'm telling you straight to your face over the phone, I ain't paying it.
Yeah.
I don't have $176,000. You don't have insurance. You know, insurance comes back and say, hey, we're paying this and that, you know, whatever. Fine. You know, we had, you know, okay insurance, but this is after insurance. And there's a bunch of cancer stuff. I mean, it wasn't just I cut my foot, I had to have stitches, you know. But yeah, it was in the hospital for over, so I can imagine being in the hospital for over a month. We're probably, you know, obviously didn't have that surgery, but, you know, for every day, but I'd imagine it was probably well over $1 million. I don't have the money to pay for that. And even the wealthy, you know, even people, I'm not gonna say wealthy, you know, even millionaires ain't going to just, oh yeah, I'm going to give my $1 million to the hospital. Like, screw y'all. I'm not paying y'all.
Yeah.
And
Well-
and the thing of it is, what I wish anything in healthcare, because that's what we're talking about, I wish healthcare was rated by the service received.
Yeah, I mean that would now.
Yeah, and what you're going to find out real damn fast, them doctors are going to start doing their darn job.
Well, and that's
They ain't
kind of
getting paid.
That's kind of the point. Is like because here's how I feel like most doctor visits go: is you go in there and say, "Doc, my back's hurting, whatever," and he says, "Oh, okay, I know a guy," and he sends you off to see this specialist. You see that specialist, and he says, "Ooh, actually, this particular strain that you're dealing with, we need to send you to that guy." And so before you know it, you've seen 4 doctors, you have 4 different medical bills, and that's just kind of part of the scam nature. Whereas if you can basically incentivize doctors to begin with to be the most well-rounded practitioners in their field, then number one, they're going to make more money. But also you start to get away from some of this runaround that you face with your health insurance companies. And I'm the type of guy, like, I'm not advocating for free healthcare because I feel like I've seen enough of what happens in European countries to know it all gets gamified either way. It's just now you have to wait even longer to get the services that you need because now it's free for everything. So I'm not saying that that's quite the answer, but this whole system of health insurance being on a completely different page from practitioners is so bothersome, and I can't imagine the amount of stress that it puts on families that are experiencing real life emergencies or that do receive some type of life-saving care allegedly, but then they're faced with a $250,000 bill. It's like, what is that? That's not how America should be operating.
But again, I have to break it down because this is what it is. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to pay that bill.
No, you don't. No.
But if you're an American citizen, you do.
And
where that plays out is this, because that immigrant, he ain't worried about his credit being shot because he don't have one to begin with because he's non-traceable in the books.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. It's no skin off his back. Me, if I want to just if I don't pay that bill, I can't buy a car, a house. I can't. What they do is they penalize you. Like, hey, I'm financially hurt. I can't pay this doctor bill. Oh, let's hit you harder. Now we're going to make it, if you don't pay this crap, even though you don't have the money, you're not going to be able to buy a house. You're not going to be able to rent. You're not going to be able to get a car. They penalize you for being hurt.
Or if you do, then we're going to charge you more interest for the same product.
Which benefits them again in the back end. That's the thing. They kick you when you're down is what this is.
Yep.
I understand there's going to be people that you probably make a fair amount of money, and they're going to take advantage of the system anyway. That happens all the time. It's politics. It's what it is.
I had a lady call me. So I had this medical bill from probably 6+ months ago. Goes into collections because it's like $100. I'm like, whatever. You guys can write that off on your taxes. Anywho, she calls me out of the blue and was like, hey, we're debt collector company. We're just here to try and get this money from you. I told her that I was unemployed. Which I can't quite remember. I think it was a couple days after I'd started. But either way, I was like, yeah, I'm unemployed. And she's like, okay, well, does your spouse earn an income? And I was like, does that matter?
Yeah.
And, of course, like the moment you start questioning them and start giving them pushback, she started catching an attitude. And she's like, well, you received these services, did you not? And I'm like, yes, I did. And she was like, then you also have to pay for those services. And I was like, no, I don't. And I asked her, and this is where she ended up hanging up on me. I asked her, I was like, so if I am in dire need of medical care, are you telling me that the hospital isn't going to take care of me now because I owe them money? And that's when she said, all right, well, I'm getting off the phone. and hung up on me.
I mean, you the payments, the whole lot, it's all, I mean, again, this is the whole episode within itself. It's a freaking joke. It's a scam. I don't agree with, I don't agree with free health care because that's just, it's kind of like our education system.
Yeah, it's going to get worse.
It is.
The more
it's because
insert government control.
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, I'm not classifying every teacher in America, but even why our education system is what it is because you've got people which is kind of back to several of the things we've talked about. You've got somebody going to 4+ years of school getting paid $30,000 a year.
Yeah. Yep.
You expect them to really put in a lot of effort,
No.
you know? Well, and so it's a money thing, and that's what you're going to get what you pay for. So if you buy these, and I've dealt with this just literally within the last couple of weeks. The girl's like, I don't understand why I have this $100 bill. And I was like, I'm going to tell you why you got a $100 bill. She goes, it's supposed to be paid for. Yeah, after you meet that $9,000 on a $9,000 deductible.
Yeah.
Who's gonna? I mean, like,
Yeah. $9,000
you're
worth
never
of medical bills.
That's
in a year.
Again, that's how this is a scam. That's one example. Like a person generally 18, 19, 20, 21, you know, that ballpark, you're not going to have $9,000 out of expenses in medical. Most people wouldn't even go to the hospital once or twice a year in that age bracket.
Right.
And so they're paying X amount of dollars for this, and the insurance company says, statistically, we're going to make money off this dude because he's never going to come up to the first $9,000 paying for his bills because he's not going to go to the doctor that much. So they're just banking that money off you every month. That's how these things are scams. You know, can you fix it? I don't know. But again, these things, you go back into it, you know, it's government. I don't care what healthcare system you have. They're government affiliated. They're government ran health organizations. If that's not the case, and people want to argue that with me, and I would love to entertain as anybody, then how come whenever Obamacare came into play, it affected every health insurance across the board? It directly tied to it some way. I'm not saying that their government ran as like the president or some specific politic has control of Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's not what I'm saying, but it's all directly affected by those choices.
I don't know if you remember, but a lot of people complained about it because they went from having no insurance to being forced to pay for that insurance, and if not, getting taxed for it at the end of the year. And just understand like what Obama did there. He forced you to have insurance, which then forces insurance companies, because they know everyone's going to be getting insurance, to now raise their rates.
Yeah, and it was like 3 or 4 times.
So it's just
ridiculous.
But that's what happens when government steps in and says we're here to help. Typically, which kind of leads me into scam number 8, and maybe you have a few more years experience on this than I do, but property taxes. What is going on with that? If I pay off my house, should it not just be mine forever? What do you mean I have to pay a tax?
Well, the best way I can describe this, and it summarizes a lot of things in life and does with our government, it's called a game. What's the game called? Monopoly.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with? Property. It's freaking government. It's government thing. It's state thing. They need their freaking money.
So do I own it or not?
No, you don't own it because you go buy your house. You have a $250,000 house and you pay it off free and clear and don't pay your taxes. Find out that they don't come take it.
Which is insane. Like, how is that not a scam? Like, because my thing is like it's paid off. I'm no longer paying for this thing.
Yeah.
Where do the taxes come from?
Well,
you receive services from the county and blah blah blah. It's like no.
But guess what you're doing every year on a vehicle?
Yeah, same thing.
You know, you're not going to pay. You're going to pay the tax on it once. I get that. But you're telling me that little sticker on my license plate cost me $91.56 or $91.50 to renew. Like, really?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's a scam. Now, I can understand for registration purposes and keeping those tags up to date so they can identify you in crime. I mean, I get that. I have no issues necessarily with that. But every year on a piece of metal that I've had in my car and didn't have to buy a new one to replace that little sticker, you're telling me there's enough admin work to justify $91.50 on that every year? No. It's a freaking scam.
And you times that by, I don't know, 200,000, whatever. How many vehicles are out there on the road?
Millions.
At any given day.
Millions.
And that's like where you start to see like, okay, what is this whole tax system? Like the hardest things for me to swallow whenever I'm scrolling through the web is whenever I see someone who makes the comment about, so I pay taxes on my income. I go to the store and buy groceries. I get taxed on that. And by the way, the employer gets taxed for the employee that's working.
Yeah, you get taxed. Exactly.
So it's like, so at every step of the way, they're collecting taxes from you. Yet, for some reason, we don't see the real benefit of the services. And what I mean by that is we have politicians that make it abundantly clear they don't care what we have to say or what we
Well,
think.
I think that there's some level of stupidity on the employers though too, and I understand big corporations that may be a little different, but you realize on a 1099 you don't have to pay employee tax, so just 1099 every one of your employees, let them deal with it.
I mean, yeah.
You know what? And you know what
companies
it
do that.
causes? You know why it's not a good way to. The reason why people don't do this because but then the employees are going to have to pay taxes at the end of the year on their income, and that's your problem. How?
Yeah, as if
You
that
make sure
isn't
your
already
employees
the
notice,
case.
hey, you're getting 1099. You're going to get paid $10 an hour. You're going to get $10 an hour for your work, and at the end of the year, you're going to get 1099. So if that equals out to $4,000 worth of taxes, I hope you can manage that money throughout the year and be a responsible citizen because you're going to have to pay it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they don't have, and then that overhead that they have on their employees, they no longer carry certain amounts of overhead. That's just one example on their employees. Now, can you do that for 50,000 people? Different game, because you can't just 1099 every freaking person.
Right.
But there's a lot of companies that can.
For the most part, yes. I don't know. Just for me, the whole tax system it's whack. I'd feel completely different about it if I felt like the government was actually doing great things to help out Americans. But whenever I see what feels like a vast majority of it either going overseas to fight a war or to allow illegal immigrants to enter our country and get the money, that's where I start to say, like, dude, why am I paying taxes on this crap? Because I don't see the benefit of it. Like a cop might answer the call and come out to Oshaleta.
Yeah.
20 minutes after I've already been robbed and my wife's been held at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Or even worse, then you get into the amount of corruption that takes place in public offices, like a sheriff's department, etc. And you start to realize, like, oh, so I'm giving you all this money and you still aren't even managing it correctly.
Right.
And that, I don't know, it seems so strange to me that I can own property in America, but if I do not pay the taxes on this property, it is no longer my property.
Same thing. I mean,
It just, I don't understand that. I don't, it doesn't make sense.
well, that's the world we live in.
But then we get into, in my opinion, scam number 9, water.
Well, guess what? They're just scam too, because just like you're saying, well, I don't pay my tax, you're going to take my house. Well, you ain't getting no money back whenever your water's pumping out brown either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're still going to charge you for it.
Well, and that's just, to me, is kind of the craziest part, is that, number one, we're talking about infinite. We're talking about a resource that is replenishable, and depending on where you live, you at least get several months worth of it throughout the course of a year. But yet you go to a football game and that bottle of water may cost you $5. You go to a church and they're probably handing it to you for free. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what is this scam that is taking place where on one hand, there's a lot of monetary value assigned to it, but then on the other, there's not. Well, so it's like, is it free, or like, is it basically a human right to have access to water, to be able to grow your own food,
It just
etc.?
depends on the aspect you look at things. You look at this bottle of water that I was now spitting in, but it's a scam because you ain't getting microplastics out of your sink.
Nope. No.
But you will out of these things.
Yeah.
And we know that.
Yeah. Right.
We know
Smaller
that there's
tanks.
a level of microplastics and stuff like that, but for all the tree huggers and people that care, and so you go buy this stuff, they're worried. I personally, to some degree, like bottled water, I drink tap water most of the time. I just, convenience of a bottle of water, but personally, I wish they'd do away with bottled water, period.
Yeah, make it metal.
Well, the reason being is because it's like it's darn if you do, dang if you don't. That's just my opinion. I personally don't care that there's bottled water. It's not like I'm some advocate like strike it all, get rid of it all. That's not what I'm saying. But you got this argument of landfills and trash, but yet we need to have that convenient bottle of water. We just do away with it. Like, do we have to have bottled water, especially with all the filtration systems might have? I mean, my lands, you can get a filtration system for your refrigerator, or one that sits on the counter. You hook a water line up to it. They'll save you hundreds of dollars. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. They'll do everything that freaking bottle of water is.
My favorite thing. Well, number one, like whenever it comes to water, stuff like that, why people don't use fill-up stations more. Like you go into Walmart and they have like the Brita 5-gallon water thing that you can buy. if you really start comparing like apples to apples, the price that you pay for a container of, or a 30 pack of bottled water versus 5 gallons of just purified water, I want to say it's somewhere between like $4 and $6. So you're basically, all the cost is coming right out of it because you're not paying for each individually wrapped bottle. But I guess where I was going with it is that, like earlier, you had brought up the fact that even if your water gets nasty, you still got to pay the same price for it. And I can't help but wonder, like, you go to some of these towns and cities where these people are dealing with contaminated water that will kill you if you drink it. But yeah, are still having to pay this water bill. Like, what? Yeah. How would you combat the idea of making something
you gotta
like a natural resource like that free?
Okay, come back to that question. How do you make that free? And come back. But I just don't understand the logic, so people understand what we're saying. Oh, you're just bitching to bitch. No, I'm not. Here, this is legitimately stuff that is out there. It happens all over. Hey, we're pumping water to your house. You got water. Boil alert. Make sure you boil your water before you use it. Then why am I paying for it?
Yeah, I know.
Scam.
Yeah.
I'm having to pay you. I'm having to now boil my water. I'm paying you to get it to my house drinkable, clean. Okay, that's scam number one. You see the logic, but these are legitimate things that happen all the time. I understand that there's stuff like that. Water lines break and you're pumping water in. You need to get that crap out of your lines. So, duh, I get that. I'm not drinking muddy water. If I wanted that, I'd go drink it out of a mud hole. So, but you have these boil alerts, and I'm not talking about a little one-time thing. Hey, the water's a little, we had a water line break. We're talking like there's cities. It's like this is like all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, boil alert's not good for you to drink. Oh, but it's okay for you to bathe in it. Huh?
I know. Yeah. That's always a fun one.
Really? And that's why you see the commercials from the pharmaceutical companies. We have this to treat skin diseases. Yeah, because you're bathing in freaking chlorine water that's 10 times the legal limit.
Yeah, radioactive. Well, and I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems very funny because I think of like the Lahaina fires and how water could have been used to put out some of those fires, but they were worried about the water conservation, like efforts or whatever that they had going on. And it's like, how about you put this gigantic fire out instead of being worried about something that is going to fall from the sky? And also, in a place like Hawaii, you're surrounded.
That's what I was going to say.
By water.
Can't put salt water in, it might contaminate the drinking water.
I don't understand that, but it is what it is. But that kind of leads me into scam number 10, which is professional sports. How is it that year after year, month after month, Americans are inundated?
Well, I'll make myself real clear on this. We do not have professional sports in America. We have professional crybabies, but we do not have professional sports.
Wow, okay.
When's the last time you've seen any person that sports, what you're talking about, the big names, that actually act professional? I can only name one or two out of the hundreds.
Like out of the hundreds of people involved that act professional.
Look at in a corporate business, corporate world, you're required to dress a certain way, act a certain way. Yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You can't hate on the gays. You can't. But professional sports, that's a good platform to be gay. That's a good platform to talk about it. That's a good platform to have ear piercings hanging out of your face and freaking tattoos everywhere and call everybody every other name in the book and use it for your own political agendas. But in a professional business, you can't do that. So tell me, I'm telling you, we don't have professional sports.
So it's professional propaganda. No, the biggest issue I have with sports is that people are so consumed every year, and now gambling's becoming more and more prevalent, where you can bet on every single game out there. And so, number one, what you're doing is week after week, month after month, you're throwing money at these random bets that, let's be honest, those bets wouldn't be available if it wasn't in the favor of the house that is making or allowing those bets to take place. But then, number two, you get into people calling it my team. oh, that's my team. You know, the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's my team right there. And it's like, no, it's not. Do you think anyone on that team cares about what you have to think?
Right.
That you were cheering them on? No. It's just the guy who signs their paychecks and gives them the itinerary on which flight to catch to get to the next game. And so, like, what I'm getting at is, like, as individuals, we put so much power into these people's hands, idolizing the ground that they walk on, you know, despite the fact that they aren't doing anything at all to better your life. They just helped you waste half of your weekend by watching us play.
If people do that, that's their thing. My stance is clear on it because I can tell you how many professional games, because that's what you're using, professional and college games that I've watched the entire last year and this year combined. One.
Yeah, I think I've watched 2.
And I didn't even watch all the Super Bowl because it was stupid. And that was the one.
Yeah. Yep.
The commercials are better than the Super Bowl.
Year after year.
And I couldn't even tell you who won. I don't watch it. I don't get involved in it because when I'm sitting there to say, if I want to watch a football game, despite whatever I want to say, they're a bunch of baby crybabies and overpaid, whatever, despite that, I do not want all the stupid propaganda that comes with it that they think they need to shove down my throat through the media side, which is part of the reason why the Super Bowl is kind of like, yeah, I'm done with that too, because it's all the crap that comes with it. You know, I don't want nothing to do with it. I think that the sports in general, especially the major stuff, you know, we're NBA, you know, football, you know, all those things, you know, these guys are getting paid millions of dollars to play a sport. Fine. I don't care necessarily they're getting paid that. It's just like, shut the heck up with all your freaking other crap that you got to do. You're here to play football and shut your mouth about all this other stuff. And I understand change and I understand all that stuff, but my personal opinion on it is they should keep that crap out of those sports. You're there to play football. Talk about football.
So I'm not going to say that these high net worth individuals who have gigantic platforms because they play sports should shut up and dribble. Because at the end of the day...
No, like they have a personal life. They can do that on their personal time. What I'm talking about is a guy freaking taking a freaking kneeling stance in the freaking middle of a football game.
Okay, and that's fair, because that's what actually...
I'm talking about the ones that sit there, oh, I got the Medal of Honor. Thankfully, I'm gay. You know, that type of crap, the rhetoric that comes with it. Like, hey, I'm glad you got the, you know, gold, silver, bronze, copper, whatever you got. I don't care. I can probably tell, too, the Olympics. I don't watch them either because of the junk that comes with it. You know,
that's kind of the point.
And so that's what I'm talking about. Like, we've seen it, they happen at the Olympics. We could debate whether this was the Last Supper or not, whatever. It's darn sure what it looked like to me. I'm not buying into this propaganda. Keep that stuff out of there. Keep it for, you know, if it was a goddess of whatever it was, I don't care. It doesn't need to be there. You know, keep it for what it is. We're talking sports. Now, what these people have an individual social media platform, I understand, because of football, because of baseball, basketball, you're going to have the million, you know, you're going to have more followers. I get that. And if you want to talk about your personal issues on those platforms, fine, but they shouldn't be tied.
Well, and that is the, I would agree with you that, number one, if I show up to my employer and I go in there and I start ranting and raving about societal issues that are going on, chances are they're going to send me home or they're going to fire me. And it should be the same way there. Like, look, I'm sorry, but we're a professional organization. We're here to shut up and dribble while we're out here on the court, and we're here to show deference to the country that has given us this opportunity to be able to make these kind of money, to be able to perform in this arena, etc. But then the moment you walk outside of the arena, yes, your freedom of speech is your right to have, and
Exactly.
And if you want to influence people in that way, great. But what you would see happen is, because it's no longer at the arena, a lot of these people would quit saying things. And the reason why is because it wasn't actually about saying the thing about change or whatever. It was about them.
Yeah.
And it was about their clout and trying to get
Exactly.
another endorsement or trying to fit in with this crowd, etc. And so then at that point, it's like, now we have millions of people who are watching you who have no idea that there's ulterior motives on why you're saying the things you're saying on national television. And they just assume that, oh, he must be a good guy and he's probably thought about this a lot. I'm going to believe them, or I'm just going to trust them blindly.
Yep.
Whereas it's a little bit harder whenever you get into social media, because now it's not a reporter with a little microphone in front of you just letting you have, the full 60 minutes or 60 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever, to say whatever you want. Now you start to get pushback for your ideas. And that's like where a guy like LeBron James, I think, has kind of met his match, because he can post anything that he wants to online, but then in his comments section, you'll see a lot of people that hate on him, and rightfully so, for being very much of a flipper whenever it comes to political topics that meet his self-interest. And so that's to me is the difference maker, is by removing them from that professional environment and putting them out there in the real world with everyone else, which the real world is not social media, but it kind of is in this context. You're finally leveling the playing field, whereas instead of us as individuals holding these people up as idols and gods, and just recognizing it that, they're an overpaid guy who literally does physical exercise for a living.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly kind of what I'm saying. They just need to keep it for what it is. And that's, again, I know there's a lot of people, again, we've seen it with the Olympics. That's the most current one, is, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did the Christians that way. Y'all are going to burn in hell, and you should never, I would never. Next Olympics come on, they're watching it again. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
y'all realize
changes.
if y'all would just actually back up what you said, they would be forced to stop it. I mean, literally, they would. And like that society in itself would benefit from it too if we kept our noses out of that stuff, which I'm guilty of. Social media and other aspects, too. If we just kept our nose out and focused on the things that are important, our wife, our kids, church, family, the things that matter. Can
you imagine if we had come together, and we'll just say 40%, 51% of Americans banded together and said, we are no longer paying taxes, we're no longer shopping at the stores, we're no longer paying for these services.
Yeah, I've said that with race. The thing is, we control the narrative.
And so, like, where I'm getting at with that is, how long do you think it would take for corporations and big government to coincidentally both at the same time drop a lot of this nonsense?
Oh, they would, because like I said, they would control. You would control the narrative,
because you realize that how much power you have as the consumer versus them, and because that's the whole point, is that it's all about perception. And so the fact that, like, and to me it's kind of a scam in and of itself, the fact that people want to elect people to be leaders over them. It's like, no, we should be autonomous individuals that are fully capable of making our own decisions. As long as we're not threatening the life of other people's property and life, then do what you want, man. That's kind of my angle, my take on it. Now, should you have rules for society? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, just that alone, that we have people in this world that think it's better to elect someone to have them tell you what to do versus just having to make the right choice yourself, is kind of bananas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. But people have to come together and in the United States, not
and
so much united.
And that's just the hardest part for me. Is like, I just can't imagine a situation at all where we do get people on the same brand, the same message, to actually unify and try something like that. Because I would love to see it happen.
One day, maybe.
So
can't we all just get along?
So what you said you had a scam.
I have number 11 is freaking Activision and freaking Call of Duty. That is a freaking scam.
Video games.
Yeah, I hope you people watch this. So here it is. Yeah, video games generally, but this is the one I play, so it's dear to my heart. So here's the deal. You go out and pay $60-$70 for a game. And here's what happened in Modern Warfare 3. And for the people that's in there, if you clip this out, they're going to be like, yes, you're going to get the views from them, I guarantee it. You paid this $70 for this game. And they hype this sucker up like they're introducing zombies into the Modern Warfare, which is a new thing, because typically Modern Warfare doesn't have that. As they hype this up, this open world map concept, the greatest freaking thing coming to the Call of Duty, franchise. And 3 seasons into it, the freaking devs just back out. And the game falls apart. And then so you introduce these other devs into it, basically because you got Sledgehammer, Raven, Treyarch as your big ones in the middle of this. So they pass it off that in Activision, so you're left with a bunch of crap. And so it's like, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what we purchased. You ain't getting your money back.
Yep. No, never.
Okay. So then what they did is they go from midway, we'll say 6 seasons because there's actually 5.5, but getting into the 6. So it's 3 seasons in, they shift gears into Black Ops 6, which is another piece of that. And they're shifting into that. And what has been shown so far, one, you got a lot of dummies in there too, don't get me wrong. But what's been so far, they got this Omni movement. They're hyping this game up. It's so freaking cool. It's this. Well, the beta version dropped and it's crap. It's not just total junk per se, but they're hyping this up again. And so they're getting their money, from all these people hyping these things up, and then they don't deliver on the things they said. And it's a freaking scam.
Well, I've got another great example. I'll never forget Star Wars Battlefront 2, the new version that came out on PlayStation 4 a couple years back. And I was so hyped. I really wanted to play this game. And then about the time that they dropped the beta for people to play, they come out with how they're going to monetize the game. And they wanted to use like a loot box system. Like you buy crates, and then in the crates are upgrades.
Yeah.
Basically, the biggest backlash I think I've seen on the video game in a while, all the fans who loved Battlefront 1 were extremely upset and basically felt like it was pay to play.
Yeah.
And in some cases, yeah, it kind of is. But they they decided to come back after about 2 or 3 weeks of heavy pressure, and they came back and said, all right, we're changing the loot box system a little bit, where basically it's more skin related, like aesthetic type stuff, not actual gameplay enhancing materials. Well, they released the game, and within 2 months, they quit with all their DLC plans, all the map expansions, and it's the same thing. It's like you feel like you got scammed because it's like, hey, dude, I bought this game. I bought the pre-ordered version. I was told XYZ is going to be taking place over the next year, and 3 months into it, you're bailing on it all because you're not going to be able to make the same amount of money.
Yep. I mean, don't get me wrong.
If you would have,
and I'm not going to sit here and hide behind like I'm some innocent player. If there's a way to exploit the game, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm not running from that. Now I'm not buying, cheat software and all that stuff. And that's not, so I'm not exploiting that way. But there is in the Modern Warfare 3, there is some exploits in there you can take advantage of. And personally, and I can't prove this because I'm not one of the developers or anything like that, is I think they leave some of those exploits in there intentionally. I think they haven't taken some of those exploits out because they know that is going to completely wipe out that game version and people. And the thing of it is, in Call of Duty, it's like some of these other things we've talked about. They've got to have a following.
Right.
And if they lose that following between now and October, whenever this new drop is, it's going to be devastating to their market.
Right, and trying to recapture momentum.
So they've got to play a little bit of a game. So what they do is they play more so towards instead of the zombie side, because I do understand the multiplayer is a bigger, it's a bigger thing. They play into the multiplayer aspect of it more so than the other. Well, to be fair, you develop this and you're hyping this up because Modern Warfare 3 wasn't such a hype on the multiplayer aspect. It was a hype on the zombie side, and they didn't deliver.
Right.
And so from what I've seen in the beta version, I actually think that there's some things that they backtracked on and went back to some older versions. Because if you look at the, one of the maps that they have in there, it's actually very not, I don't know, the technology, the colors, the dynamics, the stuff behind it is just kind of plain Jane.
Right.
And with technology, it's like, really, where does that, how to play in? And then what you find out is after hyping it up with all these different movements and all these things, those are great, but guess what they don't carry into? They don't carry into the zombie version. And I'm not saying that the Omni and all the other stuff, but there's a lot of functionalities that you don't have to do in there. So it's different. So you can hype it up. What I'm saying is they're hyping it up to be something, but then there's other versions of that game that it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same thing. And I don't agree with that. You're paying $70 is a lot for a video game. It really is.
It really is.
And I mean, I understand that,
and it's been that way for over a decade.
And Call of Duty, I'll give it to them in one aspect. They're not. It is kind of. It's not really a play to pay type thing. I mean, it is to a degree, but I've even said that before. I'm like, I don't understand why they don't make it to a degree that way. I mean, I understand you've got people and like in the zombie side, like who cares if you freaking have the money to buy a pack 3 crystal or not? Like it doesn't affect because you're not making some status, top rank, it's not like rank resurgence or anything like that, or rank play like battle royale. It's not that. And so, it doesn't matter. Now, in those aspects where you're ranked play and global recognition type things, yeah, I understand that. But I'm going to tell you, I don't care how good these players are, even the pro players, I don't care. I've seen it too many times. They're manipulating in certain ways that it's an unfair advantage to people. And I know there's going to be a fair amount of haters. Because you're just not that good because you suck. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I firmly believe, because I've seen the PC side of it, that just using the PC alone, you already have an advantage over a console, just right off the bat.
Immediately.
And so a lot of people don't think about that, but you do have some advantages there. And then, you look at what they're doing. They're using different, you got Steam, you got Battle, all these other things, anyway, back end stuff. And so they're buying like something for Xbox. They use it on their, PC, and it confuses the system, and they can cheat. And it's already been proven. You can see this stuff where they've, Activision comes out. Oh, we've got all the, Call of Duty. We've got all this stuff. We've got all these anti-cheat hacks or anti-cheat software in here. We'll detect it. There's guys making their goal is not even to play the game. Their goal is just to go in here and show you that there's these things you have that they say they can detect. Here, I've played 10 games in a row. Look, I'm not getting detected. And so they're exploiting what they're saying they have fixed. And we see this over and over again. My problem is you're paying all this money. What you're doing is you're buying a false something. You're buying I don't want to say a false sense of security, but what you're saying is, hey, I can play this fairly. Everybody else should be playing it fairly too. And so you're paying $70 to this company that's supposed to protect that, and they're not doing it. So why should I not have some refund? Why should I not have something in return? Because they're not doing their end of the bargain.
Well, because then you have to admit that you did something wrong, and that's where companies and governments are really good at not doing. And, just kind of go back into video games being a scam overall. Think about the amount of time you invest in a video game versus anything else.
Yeah, it's not just a money investment.
Yeah.
It's a time investment.
And so like then you start getting into now you're having to compete with cheaters, etc., who are exploiting the system, and you end up feeling like, wow, I really just wasted a lot of my time here for a game that they screwed us over on.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like, I love video games. I love great storylines. I've never been like the biggest multiplayer fan. I'll play some of them, but I'm more of like a single player storyline type of guy.
Well, they're even forcing people to do that because, like you have options, and I know it's not necessarily scam wise, but they're forcing people, their platform is they want multiplayer. They want, cross interaction. I think that's great, and I've met some pretty cool people doing that. But you get into these platforms, they're forcing you to run a solo. Mm-hmm. Like their matchmaking is freaking horrible. I mean, I'm the highest rank you can achieve in this game, and I'm getting matchmaked with people that just started playing yesterday.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like in some aspects, if you're just trying to, not say dominate the game, but you're looking for all the good loot, whatever. Yeah, it's there. But I'm like, I want to play with people that can hold their own, and that I can pair up with, that I'm not going to have to babysit.
Right, and
that I can have a good
everything.
Game. Yeah, and it's become now where it's like, you get on the online forum, Discords, or even if it's a Facebook page, it's more people asking for handouts than it is for help. That's society kind of thing too. But they've made it where you're loading into these games and you've got, half your lobby, let's say there's 24 people in that, 24, 25 people in that lobby, and only 2 or 3 actually can play the game. Your other lobby is complaining like, we can't, how do we get this stuff? How do we do this? You can't. You're never going to be able to until you start getting more advanced in this. That's the investment that comes with it. And so you're getting matchmaked with a bunch of freaking people that's new, and that's okay. You got to start somewhere. I'm not knocking that. But come on, man, we're paying you. What I'm getting at is we're paying you to to do these things. The matchmake
for the
is part of
service.
it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the online thing. You know, when I get thrown into a lobby, and you can actually manipulate that lobby too, which people don't realize that, but you can manipulate that lobby to a degree, to your advantage of how good the players are going to be coming into it. I figured out how to do it, so I'm going to exploit it. You know, and I exploit that intentionally to my advantage, because what you can do is the biggest hype on the internet for zombie wise. You understand this aspect of it is, and I'm sure other people know this too. So it's not like I'm releasing something weird. Is you have what's called a containment level, and a lot of people's brag. Well, I've got 1,000, I've got 2,000, I've got whatever. I keep mine around 30, and the reason being is because I like going in when I play solo. I have two different players. I have one with the high containment, one with the low. If I'm going in to compete and actually play, I go in with my high containment level. The reason being is I'm generally going to be paired with higher containment level. Generally speaking, these guys aren't dying, because if you die, you don't have that containment level.
Right.
But if I want to go in and I'm just trying to get in, I'm trying to get a bunch of good stuff out of the game and really just dominate and really be left the heck alone besides a bunch of new people, then I go to my low containment, because it's going to match make you with people that are like. So you're going to be playing with the newbies, which I was kind of complaining about. So there's ways around that.
Yeah.
You know, and you can
like
use it to your
parameters.
advantage. However, when you do that, then you go in there and again, in their matchmaking, and because it's one of a bunch of other factors, you also can do that in the multiplayer version as well. And so you can get into a lobby where you're playing with a bunch of people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then so you got this guy's like, man, I dominated. I got a high rank. I got this. Did you really get it by people that knew how to play, or did you get it because you forced yourself into a lobby of basically bots that are just there to be shot?
Yeah, super easy pickings. No, that makes sense.
So I mean, I know it's kind of long to explain that, but
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing. You shouldn't be able to exploit the game like that.
Gaming is, it's gotten insane, and there's a lot of cheating and scamming that goes on. I'll say this, then we'll wrap it up. I still feel bad about it in some days, but I did accidentally scam a guy out of a video game once. I got him good. So I go online to this place called Players Auction, and I'm selling my mobile game, Mobile Strike Force, and I put it online for like $100. Steal of a lifetime. And so this guy, within a couple hours, messages me. He says, "Yo, I'll pay you $100 for that." I'm like, "Great." We exchange information. I get the funds. He gets my login information, which was connected to my Facebook, by the way. So I was able to, work around that. Anyway, so I did not think about this game for like a solid year, but then I was scrolling through the App Store and I see it, like what to play, whatever. So I re-download that bad boy, and whenever I re-download it and go into like the loading screen, it loads in my previous profile that I had sold. So I'm logged into the game under my previous account, and long story short, I booted the guy out. I changed my passwords. I did all that. And this guy had been playing the game for a whole year after that. So I got all this new equipment, all these new characters.
That's pretty shady.
And now I refund him the $90? Yes. But
A year later.
And so it's like, that was the biggest scam, like, ever. Like, if you're a guy who plays mobile games and you do it for free.
People can scam a scammer if you know what you're doing. I've done it for hundreds of dollars. People tried to screw my daughter around. I got them back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I still feel bad about it, because I know from like an effort standpoint how hard it is to grind on some of those mobile games. Yeah. And when you're doing it for free, like, to have a year's worth of progress stolen from you by a guy who sold you his account.
Well, he should have changed his account. I know
that was like
he'd just change a password. It would have been fixed.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, that would have been the first thing I do the moment I got access to someone else's account, is change passwords, etc., change the emails. But no,
not known how.
But no, that I did find out in this process, though, because it was quite a dispute, about a month long, that that's why mobile game developers make it illegal for you to like sell your account.
Yeah, but
And
they do it all the time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well,
Right.
and it's because of that reason. Is that from the developer side, there's no way for them to be able to lock me out of the account and only allow him.
Well, I never thought about that. Maybe I need to start selling my Call of Duty accounts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, you can make some money. Yeah.
It's a good idea. 'Cause I've got them built up pretty well.
Yeah.
That'd
No.
make somebody a fantastic gift.
Yeah.
You
Right.
got everything the game
Yeah.
has to offer.
Oh, I don't know how this happened. No, but either way, it just that's how scams work, guys. Sometimes
Right.
it takes a year, and so don't shortcut mobile video games. That's the key. Just spend the $100 in the game and get 10% of the value. No, I'm just kidding. But either way, thank you guys so much for listening. Please drop a comment. Let us know what you think the most common type of scam is. If you agreed, if you disagreed, why. We need to hear about it. Okay. I mean, what else am I doing with my life? Raising kids? Ugh. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a scam too.
Shoot. But either way, thank you guys for listening. Have a great night.